Today we're looking at a game called Bommerz over the Sulphur River. And yeah, I know I sound like I'm from someplace else, but I'm not. It's actually an old Games Workshop game that's probably almost 20 years old. I think it's 17 to be exact. Came out in 1998. This is just a little game of basically a bunch of orc bombers trying to take out, and you start with 4 orc bombers, forgive me, 4 orc bombers, and along the way you go through some trials, but the object is to blow up the bridge. You have 2 bridges, one here and one there. Now along the way you run into Imperial interceptors, there are turrets, there are rock spirals, and the whole idea is to get 4 hits each on each bridge to blow it up. If you're able to do that, you are able to win the game. If you cannot, you will die horribly and face dishonor. Now along the way there are flak guns, there are lasers, and rock spires, as well as you have 2 interceptors chasing you down. So I think what we'll do is we'll run through a turn. Now on solo play, we take the 2 interceptors out and we place them on 2 Imperial symbols. There's symbols here and here, here and here, and there, which are Imperial symbols. They always move in a solo game as fast as they can to the nearest bomber. The rest of these turrets we take and we mix up, not knowing what we have, which I'm going to do right now. And we are going to place 1 on each symbol, which means they start underneath here, 1 underneath here, put the interceptors back there, another one there, another one there, and 1 there. The minute the bombers step on that, it's flipped over and it is resolved. As you can see, we have 4 more things left. Now movement is done. Let me make sure I got you guys in the camera so I can explain all this. There we go. We're going to move up here and we're going to take a good look at this. Okay, your speed is determined by rolling 2 dice. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to roll the 2 red dice here. You always start with 1 bomber and pick whatever you want after that. Now as you can see, I rolled a 3 and a 1, if you can see it. You pick one of them and assign that as a speed. Using the green dice, I assign that to the movement to that bomber. Then proceed to move. Oops, we missed a spot here. The bomber. So we go 1, 2, but the minute we come here, we have to deal with whatever's there. And a rock spire is there. Now, what has to happen with a rock spire is any fighter bomber or even Thunderbolt interceptor which moves into a space containing a rock spire must dodge it by rolling a d6 and equaling or beating their speed. So the only way that I can dodge that is by rolling 1 die and hopefully getting a 3 or better. Let's see how we make out. I did not dodge it. If I fail, I suffer 1 point of damage. Otherwise you would escape unscathed. So we have a damage marker here, and we are going to put it right on top of here. Now this bomber can only take 2 damage, and that's not very cool. So let's move on to our second bomber. You can see that it's really not going that well for the orcs. And I probably should roll white dice instead, so you guys can see it better, because there are red marks here. So let's do that. Okay, a 5 and a 1. We're going to pick the 5, and we'll just use the green die to mark that. And we're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. But before we can go any further, and by the way, we have one more movement there, so we're going to move that up there. We're going to move. We ran into a flak, a 1d6 flak. Now, what happens here is that the flak rolls 1d6. Okay, so it has to equal or beat the fighter bomber's speed to hit it. So basically, what it's going to need a 5 or better. So let's see what we get here. 3. So no problem, negotiated, and since it did nothing, it can move further, just 1. Now, let's see what happens with our next grouping. Alright, 2 5s. So we're going to move a 5 there. Actually, we use the green die. You always use the green die to determine speed. So, do we want to go the same way this guy did and have to face the flak, or see what else is under here? Let's see what's under here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Flip it over. Now this has 2d6. Not cool. But the best thing about it, it has to be a 5. So let's see what happens. Okay, only one beats a 5, which is a 6. The other is a 2. So that is 1 hit. And on 1 hit, the fighter bomber is driven off 1 space in the direction, well, since we're playing solo, there's only 1 space to go. Right here. So he's got to go back and he has to negotiate that again. So we'll leave that there. Now, finally, the final fighter bomber. 4 and a 5. So we are going to take the 5, of course, because we want to get as fast as we can. 1, 2. Now, here's another rule. You can never land in the same space as a fighter bomber, you cannot land in the same space as a fighter bomber, but you can land in the same space as an interceptor, because then you would cause a dogfight. You can pass through, but you can never land on. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see what happens here. Nothing. That's fine. So dismiss the flak. 4, 5. So this guy was able to move perfectly without any issue. So now it is the interceptor's turn. So zoom out here, so we'll go take a look at the interceptors way down there. Now they roll 2d6, and it's the same as the fighter bombers, but they are always moving to the closest. So he has a speed of 5. So we're going to move him 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the other guy, he has a 5. He's going to move 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And that's the end of the first turn. So now, let's get back up to our fighter bombers and see if they can somehow survive and maybe get a couple shots in. And we're going to zoom out here and go up to the fighter bombers. I'll leave it right there so that way you guys can see a little bit where we're moving to and from. This is an old game. It was there used to be specialty games with Games Workshop, and Games Workshop and Citadel products were very, very good. This was just a quick little game made by Andy Chambers, something that basically would just, you know, to kind of be like a filler game, but, you know, keeping with the 40K universe, which everybody loves so dearly. So let's see what happens here. So these green dice go away because the speed has been reduced. And now we are going to roll for our first damaged guy. And wow, 2 6s, so he gets to move 6, which is good because now if he faces anything over here, at least his speed is going to be hard to beat. So let's move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to get him down into there. Put his speed token there, but he's damaged, so let's see. Now in a regular game, when you're playing 2 players, just so you know, the flak engines can move 1. They can move 1, but in a solo game, they are stationary. So let's continue on with our turn here. Oh wow, that's not big movement. So this guy is going to be 2, and that's kind of good because 1, 2, he's really not going to be going anywhere. So let's put the 2 there. Our next one, 5 and a 3, so we'll take the 5, of course, and we'll move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll put the 5 here. And you can tell those interceptors are going to head right towards him. This guy right in the back here, our final bomber, and he gets a 6 movement. Now that kind of helps because a 6 here, that's 1 movement. He's onto the flak, and what we're going to do is roll 2d6. I have to get a 6. And all we got is a 1 and a 2, so he's fine. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, there we go. We're coming up on the first bridge. So I guess you're wondering, how do we take out the first bridge? Well, you have to slow down. You have to roll and kind of go in there and cause a bombing run. On a bombing run, you have to roll better than your fighter bomber speed. So you kind of want to slow down, because the slower you slow down to aim, the better you're going to be able to hit. But we've got a while to go there because we have to negotiate these guys here. So this interceptor here is going to go 1. Oh, wait a minute. I've got to roll for him. I'm going to roll 2 dice. He's going to go 6. 1, 2, 3. And then 4 right there with the interceptor there. So now we're in a dogfight. So dogfight is real simple. Both players roll a d6. If the highest scoring player is the winner, and the loser is driven off 1 space in a direction chosen by the winner. So let's roll 1 red and 1 green for, well, we'll roll white. We'll roll white and a red. So the white for our bomber, and he rolls a 4. And then the red for the interceptor, he rolls a 6. So now he gets to push him back in any direction. The thing is, he can only go 1, and he would be here. But since he can't go there and that's a legal target, he'll push him up there. So there we go. So that ends that. It's because he did not beat him by 3 to cause him an additional wound on top of that. So that is the interceptor's turn. Now, actually he rolled a... No, that's okay. So the next interceptor, we're going to roll 2 red dice. And he's got a 4. 1, 2, 3, of course, perfectly. Right onto a bomber. So, same situation. We're going to roll a red for the interceptor. and we rolled a 2 for the interceptor. Now a white dice for the bomber, a 6. Now this is an interesting thing because it beat it by 3 and it takes 1 damage. You can only take 2 damage before you're destroyed. So that is the Imperial turn. Okay, with the Imperial already gone, it is now our turn for our bombers, and let's lead with this bomber here. Now, there's a funny thing here. If you slow down too much, there's a 1D flak that's written on the board here, and you can't see it. So, if you slow down to where your speed is 2, he would need a 2 or better to do 1 damage. And you got to remember, you only need, 3 damage to, you only need 2 damage to kill a fighter bomber. So, we're going to roll our 2d6. And let's see what we can come up with. 3. Okay, that's not too bad. 1, 2, 3. So nothing happens here. Now, we're going to put our green marker there. We're going to roll this guy here. So let's see what we come up with. A 6 and a 2. Now, that's not really going to help us too much, but it will get us close. So 1, and we have to stop here and negotiate whatever's here. So rock spire again. So we were just going to use 2, but we have to beat our dodge. We have to beat our speed, which is good. So let's roll this and hopefully get better than a 2. With 2 or better, that's fine. We're okay. So 1, 2. So if he crashed into those rocks, he would have been gone and out of the game. Alright, so let's put a 2 here. Now, our next grouping, we're going to roll for this guy in the back here. I don't think you can see. We're going to roll a 6. 1, 2, we can go over the interceptor. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can land right on there. So, unfortunately, we're going to roll 2d6. Well, actually, we're going to roll for the flak first. Needs to can't do anything. And even though we would roll 2d6, we have 2 5s, which would have been perfect if we had a 2 or something. We do no damage to the bridge, and he's going to keep on going. So we're going to put our 6 there, so we know his speed. Then we are going to roll 2d6 for this last one in the back here. And I think we're going to take, since we can't, yeah, we're going to take the 4, but we're going to move 1, 2, 3, and you can stop. You can stop above your movement. So that's fine. So now, with an interceptor here and an interceptor here, let's roll for the interceptors, because now it's the Imperial turn. And they get a 3 and a 6. So they're going to come 1, 2, 3, he's going to use. And we're going to be in our dogfight situation. They're going to try to take this guy out. Now, here, the white one will be for our bomber, which got a 6 and a 2, which means that's enough to do a wound onto the interceptor. So we're going to place a wound marker on that interceptor. So that's a good thing. Now let's go to our next guy. Roll 2d6. Oops. Let me do it so you guys can see. And he's got a movement of 2, which is more than enough, because we're just going to use 2 speed here. And he's going to attack this guy here. So, again, white will be for the orcs. And he got a 2. Uh-oh. And red is for the interceptor. 2. That's fine. Nobody wins. I think you re-roll ties. Let's find out, shall we? Resolve. Re-roll ties. Alright, so we get to re-roll that one. Orcs. A 1. This is going to beat him. 3. So he beat him by 2. That's not enough. He needed to get a 4. So he gets to push him back 1, and he stays in the square here. So that takes care of all the interceptors. We take away our green die, and let's start with this guy here, because he's gonna be in the way and we got to get him out of the way. We are going to roll 2 dice. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can do that. And let's move him there. We're going to put a 5 next to him for speed. And he's getting ready to come in and blow up that second bridge. So, let's see if we can see that second bridge there. There we go. And that's where we're at. Now, 2d6. Perfect. That's a 1. So he's going to move. Well, actually, it's this guy on the outside. That's a 1. Problem is, the flak gets to take a shot at him. And he can drive him off. So, let's see if the flak hits. No, it ties. So that means nothing. No hit. Oh, equals or beats scores a hit. So it drives him back 1. So he gets driven back 1. That's bad luck for our little bomber. Now, a 5 or a 1. Well, it's the same situation here. I think we got to take the 5. So he's going to move 1 into here. And then he rolls 2d6 and hopefully gets a 5 or 6. Now first, let's do the flak. Flak did nothing. But let's see what we roll here. Nothing. So no hits on that particular bridge. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he comes over here, flips that over. It's a rock spire. So it's 5s. So he has to beat it. Uh-oh, this is not going to be good. We're going to roll a d6. No, and he takes the damage. So it doesn't look good for these guys at all. Alright. Now, this guy here, he's going to roll his 2d6 and determine his speed, which is a 3. 3. Okay, we can deal with that. Now, 1 from the flak, which is good. So now, 2d6. Let's see if we can finally do some damage to this bridge. We did 3s, double 3s, which equals. So that's 2 damage. So we're going to take a red die, and we're going to put 2 damage there. Because after all you need is 6. So that's 1, 2, 3. And we'll put our green die there. Show his speed. Actually, we don't even need to do that. Well, we could. And then now, finally, this guy here. Roll 2d6, another 3. 1, 2, 3. We'll have our flak, or 1d6 flak, take a shot. 2, no problem. We might be able to take out this bridge. And we get 1 more hit on the bridge, which means that the bridge has 3 damage on it. Which means we just needed 1 more. Well, I think that's a good way to show you how this game works. And that basically you would go all the way through, and at the bottom here you go off the board. If you have any surviving guys, you would come off and attack this second bridge. The whole point is to get 2 bombing runs. So once all these guys came off, they would be done, and then they would start all over and then come right back down 1 more time with their wounds intact. Now, in order to get a victory, first wave of the bombing thing, bridge damages, imperial bridges damaged, Imperial minor victory. 1 bridge destroyed, Orc minor victory. 2 bridges destroyed, Orc major victory. Now on the second wave, if no bridges are damaged, it would be an Imperial major victory. 1 bridge destroyed would be an Imperial minor victory. And then 2 bridges destroyed would be Orc minor victory after the second wave. And you could tell that we wouldn't even be able to get one of those bridges done. We might be able to get one of them done, but I don't know if we would have enough ships. The whole point is you make 2 waves, you carry your wounds over, and then you would start right back where you were, and of course the interceptors would be chasing you as well. So that's pretty much how it all works. Any questions or comments, leave them in the bottom, and thanks for watching this little walkthrough and rules instructions of Bommerz over the Sulphur River. If you can find it on eBay, shouldn't be that expensive. Should be like a $20, $30 game, and it's just a fun little thing. You could paint up the ships, and actually I remember one time what we did is we actually made the Sulphur River. I forgot, when I was back up in Connecticut, we made it, and then we actually made it a bigger scale, and we drew out all the circles and everything like that, and made it kind of an art project. So it became a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy this. Please leave your comments, any questions, and thanks for watching.